What do we all do when we were waiting in line? Get off the damn phone and start scrolling. What if you just looked around you wherever you are in the grocery store? We are so reliant on our phones that we don't know how to do nothing anymore. And we feel like, oh my gosh, if I'm not with anyone, then I need to have my phone in front of me.
There's a study from 2013 from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and they said that mind wandering and daydreaming, all of that improves problem-solving skills and creativity.
I would agree.
Stephanie, I'm curious what you think about reading, because for me, that's still not doing nothing.
And that's what we're going to dive in today. Your brain will sort of like light up after it's rested. Just think about sleep. We all need sleep at night, and to be well rested in the morning. When you go back to work, you'll be more productive.
And I think we need to stop glorifying being busy. Even our kids are overscheduled. And if everything is so structured all the time, there's no open space in your life.
I mean, literally, I think we should offer a challenge to our listeners out there. Can you schedule 15 minutes a day of doing nothing?
Get ready to feel amazing this fall. Our 7-day Vitality Reboot kicks off September 14th, and you don't want to miss it. This isn't your average detox. It's a total mind-body reset that leaves you feeling light, energized, sleeping better, and ready to crush your goals. The best part, you won't be doing this alone. You'll be surrounded by our incredible, supportive community of women who are all working toward the same thing, feeling their absolute best. Together, we'll share tips, celebrate wins, and keep each other motivated every single day. Fall is the perfect time to reset before the holiday chaos hits. Head to the link in our show notes to grab your spot for our Fall Vitality 7-day reboot. Trust us, you'll thank yourself for saying yes to this reset. Welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast, where we empower you to take charge of your health and happiness. We're Marnie
and Stephanie,
board-certified integrative health practitioners, holistic wellness coaches, and passionate explorers of all things mind, body, and soul.
Each week, we bring you expert insights, real-life stories, and practical tools to help you bridge the gap between where you are now and where you truly want to be. From longevity and nutrition to mindset, movement, and healing, we dive deep to uncover the root causes of wellness and vitality.
Join us and our growing community as we explore what it really means to create your art of living well in a way that's authentic, sustainable, and uniquely yours. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are so happy that you joined us here today. And we have a question for you. We are wondering, when is the last time that you did nothing, truly nothing, without guilt, without shame, without your mind just racing? This is a topic that Stephanie and I both struggle with and are trying to do more of, actually, which sounds kind of funny, to do more of less, right?
To get more. And that's what we're going to dive in today. Like, how much will be sparked within you when you do nothing? We're so focused as a culture on productivity and equates our self-worth and the busyness and our kids being scheduled. And that's what we're going to dive in today.
And we have a lot of studies, actually, right? Like there's a study, from 2013 from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and they said that mind wandering and daydreaming, all of that improves problem-solving skills and creativity. I believe it, because even just walking outside, mind wander, I always come up with great ideas.
Oh my gosh, great ideas. And I know we've talked before about how you like your time in the shower to think through things, but I love just being outside and without a phone and just kind of like at a leisurely pace too. It doesn't need to be like a power walk, right? But anyway, this topic keeps coming up for us just in conversations, or we've had conversations with our guests about it, and we decided we need to do an episode. I think part of the catalyst of this was our guest that we just dropped actually yesterday when we're recording this. And her name's Jamie Martin, and she talked about a book that she was reading called Nixon, Embracing the Dutch Art of Doing Nothing. I mean, just the title of itself resonated with me that I immediately put it on my Audible. It's a super short book. It's like 250 pages. So you can kind of plow through it really quickly.
Plowing through quickly, Stephanie.
I was nixing while I was doing it. No, that's what they use, like the verb to do nothing. It gets you to stop and pause and reflect, like, why is this so hard for us? But if you look at other cultures, it's part of their normal life, doing nothing.
I think a lot of people think of, productivity culture as their self-worth, right? If you're busy, you're more important. If you're have plans all the time, you're more important, right? I think when people don't have a lot going on, they feel like they're not worthy. And I mean, I struggle with this for sure. Like, I have been forcing myself to have downtime and to not make so many plans. Like, there have been moments in our married life where we're booked out for months. And then I almost feel stressed by that. Like, I don't want to be booked out for months. I want to say, oh, I have this Saturday free and we can just go paddleboarding or take a drive or do whatever we want, right? But how often does that happen where you're not just busy, busy, busy all the time?
Yeah, and I think from like a work standpoint, there's so many professions that measure your performance and evaluate you based on hours, based on billable hours, or the number of patients that you're seeing in a day. And that's how you're paid, maybe, or that's how you are, your performance metric. How can we kind of break free from that societal norm and pressure, at least in the United States? I mean, I think other countries have this issue too, but honestly, the way the woman writes this book, it is really prevalent in the United States. And there are many more examples of people truly embracing life and just the sweet life and the downtime and doing nothing in other cultures around the world. And so that's what Marnie and we are talking about this because, like she said, we both struggle with this. I cannot sit. It's a real problem in my family. I do not sit on the couch, like, ever.
I have the same issue.
And so this is really hard. And so we're talking about it because we also know that it's hard for you. We've had many conversations with people on the same topic. It's funny because I will have clients and their goal for like the week or 2 weeks will be to do nothing. I know is really a topic that we need to dive into today. And it's going to help us just like it's going to help you.
And I probably need that goal, in all honesty. Like, I have my to-do lists. I love my to-do lists. I like going through them. I like checking things off. Like, I feel so productive when I do that. But, sometimes I'll see Jordan and Sage sitting on the couch and I'll be like, what are you guys doing? Like, are you doing anything? And they're way better at this than I am, clearly. But Stephanie, I'm curious what you think about reading, because for me, I guess that's still not doing nothing because your mind is processing and taking things in when you're reading a book. Because for me, that's really good downtime. And so I think we should talk about, like, what is downtime versus like a passive rest versus doing nothing.
So similar, and we've talked about this before, when you are consuming information, whether it's a podcast or a book on audio or even music, right? Other people's thoughts, words, whatever it is. So I love reading too. It's like I so enjoy doing that before I go to bed, but that's not considered, doing nothing. And it's not considered. Nixon, the author, actually talks about that in the book. It's really allowing your mind just to escape and wander. And you're going to go through a period where you're going to have like to-do lists and racing mind and all this like emotional work, which is interesting because I think for moms, when we start to do nothing, our mind starts going to how are we taking care of everyone else, or what needs to be done, or what appointments do I need to book? Or so it's almost like a detox, right? It's a detox from getting your thoughts that are always racing through your head about what you have to do to be productive or feel good about yourself. But there's also a lot to be said about like sparking creativity when you are just with your own thoughts. I've thought about this when we were, kind of preparing for the episode and as I read the book. Like, would you consider a slow walk outside where you didn't have your phone? Would that be considered doing nothing?
I think about the Japanese art of forest bathing, right? That's another place around the world that has it's like Nixon. It's kind of the same concept, but in a different part of the world. And for them, it's about immersing yourself in nature, in a forest environment. But you're not hiking, you're not exercising, you're not even taking a nature walk.
Right.
But you could be walking slowly and there's no goal in mind, right?
Yeah.
It's just about being fully present and connecting with nature.
Yes,
through
I
your
would
senses,
agree.
which is important, right? So like last night, Jordan and I took a nice walk outside after dinner, and he's talking about all this stuff going on with work and everything. And I'm literally like looking up at the clouds. They were so beautiful last night. There was like blues and purples and pinks, and it was close to sunset. And I was like, do you see the clouds? They're amazing. And he was like, honestly, no. I
Yeah.
didn't even notice the clouds. So, and I was thinking about this episode and just like how you
Yeah.
can be on a walk outside and be so immersed in what you're talking about or what's going on in your head that you're not even looking around you, paying attention to the beautiful surroundings.
And I think that's such a good point. And the other thing is it doesn't like so, you could schedule it in your calendar and then you could put on your to-do list, Marnie, and then you would be like, "Oh, I feel good because I did nothing for 15 minutes today." Right. But you can also take advantage of pockets of time in your day where you may only have 5 minutes. Maybe you're waiting in line somewhere. Get out the damn phone and start scrolling. What if you just looked around you wherever you are in the grocery store or outside, waiting for your friend to meet you for dinner? We are so reliant on our phones that we don't know how to do nothing anymore. And we feel like, oh my gosh, if I'm not with anyone, then I need to have my phone in front of me. It's like a security blanket. So I think just even taking advantage of those pockets, even if it's 1 or 2 minutes, like last night I was at yoga and then I just lied there and it was outside yoga. And same thing, the clouds were pretty. I was like really focused on listening to the birds. That's doing nothing. It may have only been a couple minutes, but that was truly doing nothing because I was just lying there on my mat.
It actually, you saying that, I love in outdoor yoga at the end when there's a shavasana and you're laying, it makes me just want to like go outside after this episode and just lay down on the ground, look up and just take some breaths, and not as a meditation, just as a doing nothing.
And that's a good point. I wanted to mention meditation is doing something. So meditation and even mindfulness, that's doing something. And that is also hard for a lot of people. So it's like literally just sitting on your couch and ignoring, which I think as a mom, that's what's hard is like when you sit on your couch, you're probably like, oh, there's stuff that needs to get picked up and there's dishes in the sink. And, so maybe you find a spot in your house where it's tidy and no one ever goes to it. And that's your spot to do nothing. Cause I've actually been thinking about this because I was like, the couch for me is not a spot to do nothing because there's just even if there's no one around, there's something that needs to be done. So I was like, could I go in the basement? And maybe that would be a spot to do nothing. Let's face it, after a night out with friends, bouncing back the next morning isn't always easy. I used to feel like I had to choose between enjoying a drink and showing up the next day with energy. But then we discovered ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink, and everything changed.
ZBiotics is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic designed by PhD scientists to help you feel your best the day after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, an unwanted byproduct forms in your gut. That's what makes you feel off the next day, not dehydration.
ZBiotics is built to produce an enzyme that helps break down that byproduct. You simply drink ZBiotics as your first drink of the night, enjoy responsibly, and you're set up for a better tomorrow.
We've both had it before weddings, dinner parties, and girls' nights. And every time we wake up the next day feeling awesome, ready to hit the pickleball court or head out for a hike.
So as summer winds down, whether you're heading to a night out with friends or your next weekend getaway, don't forget to pack ZBiotics.
Go to zbiotics.com/AOLW
for 15% off your first order.
It's backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose. I'm going back to like this toxic productivity and this hustle culture. Like I for sure get sucked into that. And even when you're saying like in the grocery store, my habit will be, I want to pull out my phone when I'm in a line. It's like, I don't want to be standing there. Oh my God, I'm standing here with no one to talk to or anything.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'll say to myself, you know what? Let's engage with the person checking me out. Let's see how their day is going. But I have to focus, like make a conscious effort to say, I'm going to connect with someone.
Yes.
And a lot of times if I'm with my kids, and I will connect with strangers pretty regularly because it's just something I do, they'll be like, Mom, I can't believe you just said that to that person. And I'm like, why not? Like, I'm making conversation or, whatever it is. Like, that's okay.
the culture of doing versus being and the equation with self-worth is really prevalent. And I think it's really toxic because a lot of people have issues with their self-worth and then they feel bad about themselves. And then the other thing this gets into is watching Netflix is also not doing nothing. So, I think it's this like, I don't know. I just think like when you start to feel bad about yourself, then that's when spiral, yes. And then you end up just sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. So you're not doing nothing and you're not sparking creativity and you're not kind of deciding, just having an idea or whatever it is, appreciating nature. You're feeling worse about yourself because then you're like, oh, all I've done after work is I've, sat on the couch and I've only had 3,000 steps today or whatever. So gives me a lot to think about. And even like how I model this for my kids because I'm not good at doing nothing and the rest of my family is much better at it. Although that said, half the time when they're sitting down, they're watching a screen. So I don't know that they're actually doing nothing either.
Shameless in my family. And I've been toying with the idea more and more of how can we leave our phones? When I'm walking with somebody, I now leave my phone at home. Alone, I have to decipher what kind of walk it's going to be because it is a good time for me to catch up with my mom, catch up with my sister-in-law. If my kids are away at school, catch up with them. Like I do need that time to connect. So, but if I'm already connecting with someone in person, why do I need my phone with me at all? I don't. And then it's not going to distract me.
And I understand when you have to do this, but it is annoying if you're walking with a friend and like 5 times they have to like check in or take a call. You're like, okay, well, I get it, but just be mindful of that. So what I've started doing is like either in the morning, like maybe if I worked out, but I'm like, I just need to get outside and I want some fresh air for 15 minutes, or at the end of the day. So it's not like a power walk. It's not a walk with a friend. I've been leaving my phone at home just for 15 minutes. And it's a leisurely walk. It's
I'll have
not
to go
like
on a leisurely walk with you. I don't think I've ever done that. Stephanie
I
is
did.
a serious power walker. So I
I'm
cannot
trying.
imagine you on a leisurely walk. I have to be honest.
It's yes, I agree. Those words
Like it doesn't fit.
don't normally used to describe me, but I did it this morning. So I also if I just wear Birkenstocks, then I can't walk that fast. It is more of a leash.
That is true.
So I'm really forcing myself.
And doing nothing does spark creativity. I just want to say that again. I mean, I think you mentioned that I love to think in the shower. I think that's why. And like I shave my legs every day that I shower. And people think it's crazy. Like my kids are like,
that is crazy, actually.
Shave your legs every day. It is like a meditation for me. Literally, I'll shave my legs and I'm thinking about nothing. I'm just like, it's a meditation. That's the only way I can describe it. And yeah, I think, and a lot of times I'll come up with ideas in the shower and then I'll forget them by the time I'm out, which is the worst.
And that's the bad thing about going on a walk for me. If I don't have my phone, then I can't like write it down or text someone like, oh, let's do, because I'll have ideas even for my kids or whatever. I need to share it right away.
But then you're like, okay, but we're not being productive right now. So it's hard to decipher like where you draw the line.
Agree. And it's not even just, okay, creativity is definitely sparked. And like Marnie said, there's been a lot of studies on this and the author talks about it in the book too. It's also being more productive when you go back to what you're doing. Your brain actually needs a break. Your brain will sort of like light up after it's rested. So just think about like sleep. We all need sleep at night and to be well rested in the morning and to have good energy and also be able to make good decisions about what we do because we're not exhausted. When you're working all day and you're like intense and in meetings or whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you're taking care of your kids, your brain also needs a break and it needs a break from outside stimuli. And so giving it that break when you go back to work, you'll be more productive. You'll be more efficient and effective. Maybe you're happier. There's also a lot of studies that people that get these breaks throughout the day and that have like truly scheduled lunches where everyone in the company or everyone, in a country, if you will, takes a break from 12 to 1 and that protected time, no one would ever consider scheduling a meeting. They're happier. So there's a lot of happiness studies as it relates to doing nothing.
Totally. And also like the University of Michigan, go blue, they did a tech-free pause study And they found that spending time away from your screens in nature improved your attention span by like 20%. That's like a lot.
Like the norm, getting people outside, getting kids outside. And, remember, this is not about being lazy. We're not saying you should be nixing like for 8 hours a day. No. And remember, being on your phone and watching Netflix is not doing nothing. So if you think about that, maybe swap some of that time when you are on your phone with truly doing nothing and put it away. How can you hold yourself accountable to that? Like, what do you need to be able to do that? I think some of the ideas that we're even sharing right now, putting the phones away, just leaving them at home.
And I think we need to stop glorifying being busy. Like even with our friends, like forgetting ourselves. Like if we're trying to actively not be busy, I notice that this comes up in conversation a lot with friends. Like they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I have this going on and I have this going on and I have this going on. And maybe instead of saying, I don't know how to change the conversation, but instead of glorifying it, trying to say, wow, maybe it's time that you don't schedule so much or overschedule. And even our kids, right? Our kids are overscheduled. My daughter, who's going off to college, she, I think, spent 4 years of high school being overscheduled, much of it due to her own doing, if that makes sense. And I literally am going to sit down with her before she leaves and I'm going to do a whole health and wellness talk with her. But one of the things I'm going to talk to her about is don't schedule yourself to the nines because you want to have that time and space to learn and grow and maybe find some new things that you want to do. And if everything is so structured all the time, there's no open space in your life.
Sorry, I can't meet you for a walk because that's what I've scheduled my Nixon time. But it's like talking about it and having a conversation about it too. So, and modeling it and just how can you start doing it in your own lives? Because I think as parents too, like our kids do sometimes what we model, right?
Yeah.
And I'm probably the worst one because I do tend to be overscheduled sometimes. And my husband's not really any better. So, I mean, he's better about doing nothing, but it involves screens. So
maybe isn't doing nothing. Like I'm thinking about my husband and kids too. And all their nothing time involves screens.
I mean, literally now it's ridiculous.
The phones have such a hold on us.
They do.
You have to
or
change.
My husband will read the paper still, but that's still doing something.
It is because you're taking stuff in. You're taking information in, like you said.
It's really hard. But I think there's other things that may not be doing nothing that can still help you in that direction, right? So maybe it's not like this full, like hardcore, I'm going to do nothing. But you remember 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be a long time. And I think we should offer a challenge. I mean, one, you and I need to do this, but to our listeners out there, can you schedule 15 minutes a day of doing nothing? Sit outside. Now it's summer or fall when this episode drops, where it's nice weather. Sit outside and just listen to the birds and the animals and the sounds that you hear and look up at the clouds.
I was just going to say, if you're in between things, like don't fill in the gaps, right? If you're running, let's say you're going grocery shopping and then you're running to a meeting or an appointment and you have 10 minutes in between where you arrive there early. Instead of pulling out your phone and scrolling or making calls, just sit there and close your eyes and just be in your car. It doesn't have to be, this big scheduled time even. It could just be filling in space when there's a break and just not pulling out your phone.
I think that honestly is the best way to do this because we all have gaps in our day. You're not going to really do anything that's going to get you that much further along in the 5 minutes that you have in between appointments or calls or whatever it is, or waiting for your child. Or just sit, like say you go on a run or a walk, find a bench somewhere and just sit for 5 minutes.
And as you do this, maybe start to notice if anything changes in your life. Is your stress and anxiety lower? Is your, creativity higher? Are you connecting with people more when you're actually with them? It would be interesting to try and take note as you develop these doing nothing muscles.
And what I think could happen, and I don't know this or read necessarily on this, but gets back to being more productive and effective when you're back. But sometimes we are so scattered. So I'll be having a conversation and who knows, this could be my age or other factors, I'll be talking and I'll like forget what I'm saying, or I get so distracted because I have so many thoughts going through my head that I almost just need my brain needs to be like cleaned up a bit or cleaned up and sort of recharged. And so I do believe you probably will be more focused when you come back from taking these regular breaks. And not that we need to get back to productivity, but I think part of the issue is people think they have to do so much. I think we can do just as much in less time that allows more time in our day to do things like doing nothing and also just doing things that bring you joy and make you happy. You know, there's a lot of people out that say they don't have time to work out or make plans or see people. Well, but how much time are you, kind of wasting throughout the day?
And maybe it's about being more than doing. Because we are doing so much, and sometimes we just need to be.
Yes.
We have our Fall Vitality Reboot coming up, right? September 14th. And one thing I do love about this program is the first 2 days, they're almost focused on doing nothing, right? Because we're really not working out. We're not weightlifting. We're really taking a step back and trying to reset our systems and calm everything down. And it's a great time to experiment with doing nothing.
Yes, absolutely. And you're not really cooking very much. So you have more time and your body doesn't want you to go, go, go. You want to expend less energy. So it's more time to sit on the couch and do nothing, right?
It's a 7-day program. It is a liver detox. We have an amazing community. We've run this program for 5+ years now. And I feel like it gets better and better every time.
It does. And I think this time we will incorporate a little bit of a challenge. We will be talking about doing nothing as part of the detox, which is something we haven't done. And it's just 7 days and you're going to honestly feel amazing. So much more energy and clarity, focus, reducing your bloat. Many people lose weight, although that's not, the goal for everyone, and just removing toxins so that your body can really run more efficiently, just more alive, honestly. A lot of people have lots of improvements with their sleep and their skin and even their joints. I mean, it just all depends on you and what's going on in your body. So fall is a great time for a reset and we'd love to have you join us.
So if you've been thinking about a pause, this is your invitation, guys. Come join us. And, there's a link in the show notes or it's on our website. And if you have any questions, reach out to us.
And let us know how it goes with doing nothing today.
Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Art of Living Well podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It helps more people discover our show.
And if you're ready to take your health and happiness to the next level, we would love to support you. Whether it's through our transformative group programs, personalized coaching, or functional medicine lab testing, we help uncover the root causes of your health challenges and unlock your vitality.
Visit www.theartoflivingwell.us to learn more and book a free discovery call. Until next time, keep creating your art of living well.